Welcome to FLT Podcast, all things sports. And today we're doing something special. We're doing a fantasy draft between me and him and 8 other politicians.
Yeah, we set up a draft. We did a random draft order. Neal got the first pick. I got the 10th pick, which actually works out perfectly, kind of both ends of the spectrum.
Opposite end of the spectrum, yeah.
Yep, and then the 8 picks in between will be auto-drafted, and we'll announce the picks as they come in.
And they all have politicians' names. Joe Biden, Mike Pence, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump,
Ted Cruz.
Yeah, they're
Jim
all in there.
It's the Swamp League.
Yeah, the Swamp League. Here we go. 10 teams,
So
PPR, which is now
absolutely.
standard, by the way. So ESPN changed the standardized to PPR, and now it's called non-PPR. If it's
standard is
so
PPR.
the standard league is the new
and then
PPR.
yeah, and then the other one
like
is not.
that.
Yeah,
PPR is where it's at. I actually like 0.5 PPR, to be honest.
that one's good too, but that's still a PPR league.
Yeah.
So
So the reason why I like that though is because we got 2 minutes to talk. The reason why, by the way, the draft starting in 2 minutes. This is a real draft, so that's why we're paying attention to this over here. But the reason why I like 0.5 PPR is because a lot of times you get these receivers that just take a lot of passes in the backfield that don't do anything. They don't break any tackles.
Yeah.
They get 10 points a game.
like a 0-yard pass.
Yeah. What was that Redskins running back last year?
Chris Thompson.
Chris Thompson, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything from him. He's a great player. He made
Yeah.
some great plays. But you notice, like, him in standard, or I should say non-PPR versus standard, was a totally different player. They shouldn't have that big of a drop-off. It should be just a slight enhancement.
I like 0.5 PPR. I like full point PPR. I don't like non-PPR.
Yeah.
The reason why is because
catching a pass.
Well, in non-PPR, touchdowns are way too valuable.
Yes.
You get one guy that gets 2 1-yard plunges into the end zone,
Yeah.
so he gets 12.2 points.
Right.
And then you got a guy that catches 10 balls for 100 yards, only gets 10 points.
Right.
Now, 10 catches for 100 yards is way more valuable in game-wise
Yes.
than 2 1-yard plunges into the end zone.
Plus,
so
when
it kind of
you
levels
catch a
it out.
pass, it is a big. It's a play. It's a big
Absolutely,
play.
yeah.
It's not that you can't. People don't just go out there and catch 10 passes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's not like a carry. There's goofy leagues where you get a point per carry. No, you're just turning around and handing the ball off. You shouldn't get a point for that.
Yeah.
But for a catch, you actually have to run a route and you got to catch the ball. So
we got about 30 seconds remaining until the draft starts.
I'm excited. Neal's got the first pick. I'm pretty sure I know
Real
who he's
quick,
going to take.
I'm just going to run down the top 10 for the ESPN. And number 1, Christian McCaffrey, who I will be picking, by the way. No question. Then Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Davin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Derrick Henry, and who's the
Miles Sanders,
Yep.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
Those are our top
Kenyon
10.
Drake.
Yep.
Those are the top 10.
So I got about 5 seconds, and I will be picking Christian McCaffrey.
Welcome to the best day of the year, draft day.
Did you hear that? I wonder if they can hear that. So, all right, I just selected Christian McCaffrey, number 1. So, number 2 is Kamala Harris. She's picking Saquon Barkley. Good pick, Kamala. You really know your stuff. But I also wanted to mention that I picked Christian McCaffrey and number 1. No, normally, I don't like picking first because of all like the Adrian Peterson curses and all that. This year, it's a no-brainer. Get the pick number 1. He's averaging over 20 points a game.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with Christian. So I had no problem with that pick at all. It was the easiest pick in the world.
Last year, I was in 2 leagues. One of my picks was first, and one of my picks was 12th in a 12-man league. So
Yeah.
I had 1 pick, first pick overall, 1 pick, last pick. I ended up winning both leagues.
I like last pick. but
Saquon Barkley got hurt for a lot of the season, but I was able to weather that storm. And then when he finally came back, he was the best in the playoffs out of any player in fantasy.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but I was lucky enough to make the playoffs, even though he was hurt. But yeah, those first overall picks get hurt a lot for some reason.
Yeah.
It does kind of seem like the Madden curse, the first overall pick curse.
yeah.
So
So Mike Pence is on the clock. And Mike Pence has selected Ezekiel Elliott.
yeah,
He's going with that down south Dallas soul of, Republican.
Yeah, the top of those are just the top of the draft with Christian McCaffrey, Run CMC with Saquon and Zeke. Those are 3 incredible
players you can't go wrong with.
Yeah.
They're getting the ball 1 out of every 3 plays.
They're workhorses.
Yeah.
They all are heavily involved in the passing game.
Right.
And so you really can't go wrong either way.
Zeke wants the ball. That's who you want in fantasy. You want a player that wants the ball.
Yeah.
because as long as they're touching the ball, they're getting something.
Yeah,
getting
absolutely.
0.3, 0.5, 1.2, 2 touchdown, or sometimes not, but they're always getting you points all the time throughout the game. Boom, 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 boom. That's what you want.
People thought it was getting away from running backs and the wide receivers are going to be more valuable and this and that. And I mean, wide receivers are more valuable than they used to be, but it's still the workhorse running backs are still the most valuable,
right?
Without a doubt, because there's so many committees now.
Yeah.
So there's not as many workhorses.
On the clock, and number 4 is Donald J. Trump, and he is picking Dalvin Cook. Not a bad pick.
No, not at all. Dalvin Cook, I mean, when he's been healthy, he's an incredible running back. His biggest issue is injuries.
Yeah.
So if he can stay healthy, he could easily, cash in on that value, top 5 running back.
Yeah.
I want to say last year he was 6th overall running back, and I think he missed a couple games, if I remember correctly.
So, yep, that's the end of our draft.
Our draft is complete.
You want to run it down real quick?
Let's run through our teams. You can go first, and then I'll.
So luckily, I got Lamar Jackson in like the 3rd round. I also got Christian McCaffrey, who I took first, Le'Veon Bell, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Travis Kelce, Patriots D, and Justin Tucker. And pretty much, we don't have to go through all the depth and all that stuff. This is my starting roster. I like it. I thought the draft was pretty good in my part. I usually come out of my drafts feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna run through mine.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my bench, too, because some of these guys might so I got Josh Allen and Drew Brees at quarterback. Super happy with that. I got Josh Jacobs, Leonard Fournette, Chris Carson, Mark Ingram, J.K. Dobbins as running backs. All starters or, potential starters. At wide receiver, I got DeAndre Hopkins, D.K. Metcalf, Devontae Parker, Henry Ruggs III, and Emmanuel Sanders. Tight end, I got Gesicki and Austin Hooper. I got Vikings defense and Harrison Butker as my kicker. So overall, I'm very happy with my draft. It's early, so I haven't done too much mocks and stuff. I just started getting into it. So if I had to critique my draft, the one thing I would like to have been upgraded at is tight end.
Yeah.
But I usually don't take one super early.
Gronk's old though.
For as late as I got,
make a trade.
I think I got my guys in round like 11 and 12, so I can't be too mad about that.
Right,
I got them so late. Yeah. My first 10 rounds, I got 5 wide receivers, 5 running backs, so I have a ton of quality and depth at those 2 positions, which is what I always like to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a QB that falls or something, and I'll take him a little bit early, but generally those early rounds, I'm going all running back, wide receiver. If a tight end falls and he's sitting there and he's better than any running back or behind him, I'll take one. Same thing with quarterback. But generally, that's my strategy because you're going to get injuries. You're going to get, who knows, a trade. There's so many things that could happen. And you're always going to be starting either 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs a week. And you got the bye weeks. So depth is super important at those positions.
Here's a little rundown real quick on whatever all the teams got. The auto draft teams of these politicians. It'll be me versus Justin for the whole year. You guys can pay attention to see who does better. Something exciting to watch. Not really. But yeah.
Okay, we'll start with NBA playoffs.
Up with my Dallas jersey on. I've had this jersey for I don't even know how long. But I just like to see how they're coming out against the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard, and they gave him a pretty hard win in Game 2 on the road, showing some promise. Luka Doncic is, in my opinion, a top 5 player in the NBA, all positions, the entire league right now as we speak. I would even go in farther and say he's a top 3 player.
Yeah, he could be.
He is playing.
There's a lot of talent in the NBA,
Porzingis look like Shaq and Kobe. Look like the white Shaq and Kobe right now as we speak. They are dominating. He's killing it. 30 points a game. 8 to 9 rebounds a game, 8 to 9 assists a game. Just having a great year. I had him in fantasy before the playoffs. He was probably my best player. He's just phenomenal.
There's so much
for the
talent,
next 10
in the
years.
NBA.
For the next 10 years, you're going to be hearing about Luka Doncic all day long.
Yeah,
all day.
It's
long.
hard to say that though. Like top 3 Like, there's so many good players.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
insane.
Yeah,
Like, you
Kawhi,
look at it.
Kawhi, LeBron, Giannis. That's the top
You got
three.
Harden. You got. I mean, there's so many.
But I'm saying
good
right
players.
now, maybe not in the last 5 years. Obviously, you would not even touch Luka.
No, of course.
But right now, in
Yeah.
this current set, right now, Luka Doncic is up there.
Yeah.
At least in the top 5.
Well, he better be top 3 player if they want to beat the Clippers.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So-
saying. This is going to be his homecoming.
Yeah.
If he can beat the Clippers and he can beat Kawhi and that stacked team they got, then we're gonna be hearing about his name.
That
for
would
the
be
next
huge.
10 years.
Yeah,
coming.
they're down. The Clippers are up in the series 2-1.
They play tomorrow.
They got to fight. They need to win tomorrow at home.
At home, yeah.
They have to.
Tie the series up, get some momentum.
And then it'll go back to LA.
Right.
And they're going to have to steal a game in LA.
Lakers lost to Portland. Woohoo!
1-1.
So that's a series we got there, an exciting
Yeah.
series. Lakers do not have a guarantee anymore.
Yeah. I like Damian Lillard on Portland. He's a Raiders fan. He's got a big Raiders tattoo on his forearm, so
Yeah.
I've always supported him.
But since the Lakers also lost, guess who else lost? Was the Bucks that lost to the Magic. But the Bucks are up 2-1. Pacers are down 0-2 against Miami. Boston is up 3-0 at the 76ers. The 76ers had so much promise. The young and upcoming team.
Yeah, and then Toronto, they're up 3-0 on Brooklyn, so they're most likely going to sweep the Nets.
I can't believe the 76ers are almost out, but that's what Boston does.
And then
in
the
playoffs.
Nets snuck in and they had some promise and they got a little bit healthy, but
Yeah,
they're
they just-
missing their best player. Durant's out. Without Durant, there's no way they were
we
going
talked
far.
about this last week. If Durant would have came back
that would have
because of
been-
the extended season with a losing
Yeah.
record at 7th place, that would have been the first time in sports history you heard anything like that.
If Durant could have came back because of the COVID delays, they would have had a real shot.
Yeah.
So without him, though, I mean, it's hard to expect anything when you have.
Pascal Siakam's tearing it up over there in Toronto. He's just showing out. Like he's
Yeah, Toronto without Kawhi
He's a
is still
stud.
stacked.
Yeah, it's still
They're
good. They're still
very,
a good
very
team. It's the
Absolutely.
team,
If
Houston.
if they would have been able to hold on to Kawhi, they would have been the favorite.
Utah Jazz is probably going to proceed to the next round against Denver. That's another team to look out for, Utah. But
got-
yeah.
Houston too. I mean, they're up 2-0 against OKC.
Yeah.
They're stacked. They're always there, but they can never get over that hump, Houston.
Yeah.
So we'll see if this year they can actually, show out. They're going to have to upset a couple teams,
So we're paying close attention to that. And also, NHL playoffs. Vegas has just entered round 2 of the playoffs,
Yep.
and they will be playing Vancouver.
Yep, they won their series 4-1.
4-1, yep.
Yeah, that's my adopted team. I I adopted them when brand new expansion team in Vegas.
It only makes sense for you to like a Vegas team.
Yeah, because the Raiders are there now, and they were, it was already announced that the Raiders were moving there. They started building the stadium, and then you got the expansion team. So I said, you know what?
Yep.
I might as well hop on and in the beginning.
Colorado also advanced, and they are playing Dallas. And so that round's about to start. The second round's just starting out. It just happened. Philly advanced against Montreal, and the Islanders advanced as well as Tampa Bay. And the last team to advance is Boston.
Dude, I'm just so excited sports are back. We got Stanley Cup playoffs. We got NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
NFL is about to start. All the fantasy football drafts are about to, come down the pike. So sports are back, baby. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm so happy. I mean, COVID just completely shut everything down.
Yeah.
And which was awful at the time. But
Oh, yeah.
now we have all these sports at one time, which is great.
I just want a quick update, a quick correction on us. Nothing we did wrong, but last week when we were here, Capitals were winning, and they just lost the round to New York Islanders.
At the time,
Yeah.
they were winning. But
That just
by
went
the time,
quick turnaround.
Well, because everything's condensed and everything, so they gotta crank it out, all the games. Same
So
with
that's
with the
it for
playoffs.
Ovechkin for this year. Another done year on a promising note. Like every year, it seems like he does that. He's got his one Stanley Cup, and that's it. So,
Yeah.
but
that's pretty disappointing. It was 2 years ago they won. They
2
beat
years
the
ago,
Knights.
yeah.
Then it was year 1 for the Knights. They
Yeah.
made it all the way to the Stanley Cup playoffs, but they lost to the Capitals.
Yep.
And so that's pretty disappointing. The
and
Capitals are already out.
last year's champions, the Stanley Cup champions, the Blues, gone. They lost 4-2
So
against
that's
Vancouver.
the previous
So-
2-year Stanley Cup champions
Done.
are
Yeah.
already out.
Yeah. So
wow,
we're
first
getting,
round and they're out.
Oh, and not to mention, a Canadian team hasn't won the Cup since 1992, I think it was.
It was the Montreal Canadiens.
Montreal, yeah.
I was right. Okay.
Yeah, Montreal Canadiens were the last team.
1993.
1993. I thought 92.
So that's a long time. 27 years.
27 years. But check this out. It ain't happening. Vancouver's the only team left. That's it. Vancouver. So Vancouver has a 1 out of 8 shot against. They're playing against Vegas. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. I think we got another 20 years before Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only a few Canadian teams. It's a Canadian sport, but it's mostly American teams.
Well, yeah, and you have a ton of Canadian players.
You have capitalism, baby.
And you have Canadian players on pretty much every American team. So, but yeah, they still do. They talk about how it's their sport and they haven't been able to win.
No country has major sports leagues like America does.
No,
what does that tell you?
Well,
I'm not going to get into politics.
Land of the free, yeah. It's the greatest country in the world.
Think about
Why
that.
do you think all the professional sports pretty much are here?
Why do you want to be Hollywood is here? Why do you think NASA is here? Why do you think Silicon Valley's here?
If you're at the top of your profession, you're at the top of your sport, you're coming to America. You want to be a professional basketball player, you're coming to America to be in the NBA. You want to be a professional football player, you're coming to the NFL and you're coming to the US. It's like that with pretty much every sport. I mean, except maybe soccer. Soccer is worldwide, but they even have the MLS and stuff. But I mean, that's really the only sport where you may not, if you're one of the best in the world, come to the U.S.
Yeah.
Everything else, basketball, football, baseball, hockey,
all
comes here.
Last but not least, baseball.
Well, then we want to get to football.
Yeah, we'll talk about probably some more football too. But just because we haven't talked about baseball at all yet today, baseball. The Dodgers are the first team this year to hit 20 wins. They're just killing it like they were last year. They're on fire. The Yankees have a little bit of a cold streak going.
Yeah, a little bit of a lull. They just got swept by Tampa.
They've only won 4 games since I talked to you guys last week. They're 16-9. Tampa's 17-10. But because of percentages, the Yankees are still taking a first place lead in the AL East.
Yep.
But they're just barely ahead of Tampa.
It's a half a game, I think.
Yeah, that's not a good lead right now, especially coming that they just lost to them. So
yeah, they just got swept.
That's not good. Yeah, Toronto's 13-11, right behind them. Baltimore's 12-4. Baltimore's won a couple games, doing okay.
It is cool that Toronto though is playing, in Buffalo this year.
Yeah, it's our
so
team.
That's kind of exciting.
I can't bring myself to become a fan.
No, I'm not. I'm not even saying
cool.
to become a fan, but it is cool to see. When they first were making Bison Stadium, they were hoping to get a professional team.
Yeah.
They didn't. They got the Bisons. They got semi-pro.
Right.
But it's actually being used for professional baseball, the MLB this year. So that is cool.
Yeah. Oakland A's 19-8. Right behind them in the AL West is Houston, Minnesota. Yeah. 17-10. That's good to see them.
The A's are the best team in the league right now.
Well, except for the Dodgers.
Well, what's the Dodgers record?
20.
Oh, they got 20 wins?
Yeah, that's right. For their
How
first
many
team,
games have they played?
20-8.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
they played the same amount?
Yeah.
Okay. But Oakland, shout out to Gus. He's a big Oakland A's fan. So they're doing good this year.
Yeah, it's a great team.
Yeah.
The Braves, 15-11.
They're one of those teams, the Oakland A's, where they don't spend tons of money.
No, you're right.
But they're always
They're
always
city
competitive.
team. Yeah.
They're always pretty good, and they don't spend anywhere near as much as like the Yankees and the Sox.
The movie
the
Moneyball
was based on the Oakland A's. That was a great movie, actually.
It changed the league as we know it.
It was based on a true story,
Yeah.
and then Brad Pitt did the movie, and it's actually a good movie if you guys like sports movies and haven't seen it.
Yeah, Chicago Cubs 16-9, first place in the NL Central. Really no competition there. That's their division. They're taking it. And once again, we talked about the Dodgers already. Right behind them is San Diego at 16-12. So, and then Colorado's at 500 at 13-13. So it's a lot of
still early, but you're seeing
out.
people.
Yeah,
you're seeing teams start to to bypass everybody else.
Yeah, the only team that we give a little failure to is Pittsburgh. Man, Pittsburgh 5-17.
Winning percentage .227.
The reason why I want to bring them up is because they went out and they got themselves a pretty stacked roster in the last couple of years, and they're just not putting it together. They just aren't making it happen for whatever reason. Pittsburgh just can't do it. So, Pittsburgh, you are the failure. So,
all right, well, let's jump into NFL football.
Sure.
We started with fantasy. We touched on all the other sports.
Yeah.
Let's jump into the NFL, briefly. We'll start with Buffalo. Josh Norman came down, intercepted a pass from Josh Allen. He was in coverage against Stephon Diggs. He was running back the interception, and Diggs came, punched the ball out, caused a fumble, landed on his leg, and he's out indefinitely.
That's how he got hurt?
Yeah.
From a ball?
No, he intercepted a pass.
Yeah.
And he was running it back, and then Stephon Diggs, he was in coverage on Diggs. Diggs chased him down and caused a fumble.
Yeah, but you said he just hit the ball.
And when they fell down, he landed on his leg.
Oh, yeah, you didn't say that.
That's what I said.
Oh.
I said he punched the ball out and then landed on his leg. So
he landed on his leg.
Yeah, he landed on his leg when he was punching the ball out to cause a fumble.
Serious.
That word indefinitely scares me.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, they use that word because they don't know yet. They don't have an exact timetable. Yeah. But if it's usually real minor, they usually say that.
Yeah.
So that worries me because he's a strong number 2 corner. Obviously, Tre'Davious White is a beast, one of the better corners in the league. And then they brought in Josh Norman to be a strong number 2. So hopefully he doesn't miss too much time. If they lose him.
So right now there's no update on his injury at all?
No, I checked, and it's indefinitely, no timetable.
But he hasn't got checked yet, has he?
I'm sure he's been looked at since Thursday. So, but they might not know. We'll probably get a timetable within the next week or so. So, but you never want to hear indefinitely. Yeah. That could be a season ender. Who knows?
Plus, with no preseason, you're missing time. Like he's just gonna, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt the team. Like we put him in a position that we need, a CB2. He's got his role to play, especially in the McDermott defense. He was supposed to be important this year.
Yeah,
it's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah,
I mean, I like I said, it was one of those things where he was brought in to be a strong number 2. It was his chance to rebound and revive his career. After he blew up with Carolina and then left to go. They pulled back the franchise tag. He went to Washington, signed a huge deal, underachieved there, and this was kind of his chance to. You know what I mean? Like, right the ship and, revive his career and show people that he is a good corner. And new stadiums this year. The Raiders Stadium in Vegas, finally done. The Rams and Chargers Stadium in Los Angeles, finally done. So we got 2 brand new stadiums. Both took about 3 years to build. Both spent, the Raiders spent about $2 billion on the stadium. The Rams, Stan Kroenke, their stadium, their costs, I don't know what happened, but they must have just kept running into problems. They said that the costs skyrocketed. They thought it was going to be about $2 billion, like the Vegas stadium. They're saying about $6 billion it cost. So I don't know what happened there, but luckily Stan Kroenke is one of the richest people in the world. He owns a professional team in pretty much every sport, but that's wild. So it better be impressive. I know the Raiders Stadium, they nicknamed it the Death Star Allegiant Stadium. That's what it's called. The Allegiant Airlines, they're the ones that, the naming partners. And they finally held their first practice there. And it's a beautiful stadium. So it's a shame that there's not going to be any fans there this year.
I know. It's just like it has to be the first year.
Yeah.
They get to their new stadium and they can't even use it.
Yeah, the Raiders and then the Rams and the Chargers. So you got crazy. 2 brand new stadiums that are going to be empty this year. But I guess it's just going to build up the anticipation. And next year, Vegas, baby, I'm definitely going to be there. I'm going to have to go to 1 game.
I was thinking about this. With no fans in the stands, in the game, in the stadium itself, that's going to affect how these players play. Some of them who are better under pressure aren't going to have that ability to show out against the players that are younger, shyer. And now it's evening the playing field between the top tier echelon players that don't care about the crowd and just zone everything out like the Bradys and all that. And it's going to be the young studs with the talent that don't have that trait, don't have the clutch trait, are going to have the upper hand now, it seems like.
It's kind of weird because nothing is set in stone yet. The NFL said, we're leaving it up to each team and the cities that they're in on whether to have fans or not. Most teams are not having fans. Some teams are going to have like minimal capacity, like 20%, 25%, and then some haven't decided. The Bills actually, they haven't made an announcement yet. They're still possibly might have fans. I don't know. If they do, it's not going to be full capacity. So it's really weird, and they're talking about now about piping in crowd noise, and then that's a whole nother issue. How loud can it be?
Just play.
It would be weird though to have a stadium just empty and silent, and then
but then you're looking at what are these? How are they going to control the fan crowd? Is the home team going to have the advantage? Are they going to play it louder when they want to?
That's what they were talking about. They'll have to set like a decibel limit, and I said, well, why don't they just
Patriots will definitely cheat.
Well, exactly. So I'm like, well,
they're going to make it mad annoying for the team on offense, and then they're going to make it nice and easy for them on offense.
They're going to have to make it uniform, only allowed to be a certain decibel. You can only play it at
third party control.
It's going to have really like set in stone rules, and they're going to have to be uniform across the league. And I was talking to somebody. I said, well, why don't they just like kind of like behind the scenes, like pick up the audio from the players and this and that. But the problem with that is they swear so much, and it's live TV. So that's probably why they're not able to do that. It would be cool though to hear all the players like during the plays, because if you're not going to pipe in noise and there is no fans, you're going to be able to hear what the players are saying. Right. So I think they're going to have to do something with simulated crowd noise, but they're going to have to really.
I think I'd rather want to hear what the players are saying.
I would too, but they constantly swear, and you got children watching. It's on live TV. It's on cable.
So they'll probably just mute the players then.
Well, but then you don't hear anything. If they're muting them. So I don't know if they can just bleep them out. And I don't know if you can do that live, though, really well. I don't know.
We'll see.
So we'll see what happens. It's kind of like this is so up in the air. This is unlike any season ever before. So it's just really, really weird to think that you have these big stadiums that are going to be empty or mostly empty. And so... Well, it's just one of those things. It's better than no season, and so as long as we get a full season, I'm not going to be happy, but I'll deal with it. If this is what we got to do to get an NFL season, I think most people are willing to do that. Daily testing, little or no fans, all of that, and then I'm wondering if they're going to do a bubble for the playoffs or something.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll have to see what happens. So everything's kind of up in the air and just kind of playing it by ear, seeing how it goes. And
I really am interested to see what happens between the Tampa Bay Bucks with Brady and Gronk, and because he's got a lot of help at receiver too, Evans and Godwin. But I also want to see how the Patriots play without Brady, with Cam Newton.
It's super interesting.
That's going to be crazy, and that's who we got to play twice.
Everybody says, Belichick and Brady were the best QB coach duo ever, and, some people said that it was Brady that was, uplifting Belichick, and then some people said, no, it's Belichick that was lifting up Brady.
Yeah.
So now they're going to both be able to show and prove.
Who's better.
Yeah. Was it both of them? Was it one or the other?
The only disadvantage, though, for that is that Brady doesn't have it. Brady's older now and losing talent, whereas Belichick doesn't matter if he gets older. He's getting more.
As a coach, you get wiser.
He's getting better as a coach.
You get wiser. You see more stuff.
So it's kind of an uneven comparison, but you still get to see something.
Yeah, you're still going to get to show, is Brady going to still be good or not?
Right.
And so he's going to be able to prove it. And if their offensive line in Tampa can hold up, they have weapons galore.
But check this out, though. Regardless of what happens, though, Brady or Belichick already showed you that he can do it without Brady.
Oh, yeah.
He already showed us that.
Yeah,
with Matt Castle as quarterback.
Limited. But they won 11 games that year, but they missed the playoffs.
It's not their fault.
It was just a weird year.
You win 11 games, and you're 11 games. That's a playoff team. That's not their fault.
So, no, he did show it. That was also a long time ago, though. But it's going to be interesting to see. Like I said before, Tampa has some of the best skill position weapons. They have Evans, Godwin, Gronk, O.J. Howard. Cameron Brate. So if their offensive line can hold up and Brady's, if his age isn't going to cause a problem, they could make some noise. And they got a good coach in Bruce Arians. So
great coach.
He's one of my favorite coaches in the league. He's one of those coaches who he's made a lot of quarterbacks' careers. He's worked with a lot of the greats. He's worked with Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, all of them. Ben Roethlisberger.
I can't wait to see how the Bills look with Stephon Diggs. And that was our hole last year. Let's be real. Our hole in the Bills last year was our wide receiver.
Yep.
And John Brown couldn't do it all by himself. He had a great year. He was catching passes left and right. He was doing great. He needed that complementary role.
He needed a wide receiver one.
So we're going to see what happens with that. You also got Beasley still in the slot. You know?
Yeah, Beasley and Brown were great wide receiver 2s.
Yeah.
You had 2 good wide receiver 2s, but they needed a wide receiver 1 to draw that number 1 corner, to open things up for the number 2 receivers. So hopefully Diggs can fill that role.
Diggs always wanted to be a 1. He wanted to say him and Thielen had to split all the
1A, 1B.
He just wanted to be the number 1.
Now he is the number 1 guy. No questions asked. When, like you said before, with Thielen and Diggs, it was always 1A, 1B. So who was really the 1? Who was really the... So now he's finally got what he's wanted. So hopefully he shows out, especially with the price that the Bills paid for him.
Yeah.
But I do want to touch on my Raiders.
Yeah,
just briefly.
Yeah, sure.
Just look at the roster overall. You have 5 remaining starters on the offensive line. You have Trent Brown, came over from New England after winning a Super Bowl. He's one of the best offensive tackles in the league. You have him at right tackle. You have right guard. You have what's his? Drawing a blank. No, I mean, you can cut this out, but right guard is
there it is.
Gabe Jackson. Yeah. So you got right guard, Gabe Jackson.
They got Zay Jones too.
He was drafted. Yep, he was drafted from the Raiders. He's one of the better guards. He struggled with injuries last year. At center, you have Rodney Hudson. He is, if not the best center, one of the best centers in the league. Every year over the last 3 years, he's graded out as the best pass blocking center. He's given up 0 sacks. And even
Brown
in the run grade, yep, I mentioned
That's
Trent Brown, the right
there.
tackle. And then you have at left guard, Richie Incognito. Who
I didn't know that.
He was a pro. He's a Pro Bowl guard.
Wow, I'm looking at this roster.
Really,
I'm really impressed.
he showed out last year. They took a chance on him because he was out of the league, and he paid off big time.
Yeah.
And then at left tackle, you have first round pick Colton Miller.
Yes.
So they truly do have one of the best offensive lines in the league, and time may prove that they have the best offensive line in the league.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that, and I want to mention though, they added Jason Witten.
Yeah.
Old man Jason. Well, it can't hurt your team to have Jason Witten.
So they have Darren Waller, who obviously blew up last year.
Now
he's one of the better tight ends.
Now he's going to learn from one of the greatest of all time.
So
that's a huge deal.
Witten they signed on as a mentor because you also have Foster Moreau.
But they have him in the depth chart as co-number 1 right now.
Yeah, so you have...
Our Lads doesn't just make stuff up.
I think that's like a respect thing.
The way ourlads.com's works, their scouting website, they send people to every practice squad, and they watch the number 1s, so they write it down.
Yeah, you have... So there's 2 reasons why they signed Witten. One was to mentor the young tight ends.
Yeah.
Because they also have Foster Moreau, who was a rookie last year and got hurt. He was incredible.
Fourth round pick.
He was incredible. At tight end, and he was a red zone monster, touchdown monster. Unfortunately, got hurt. So I think that they want to use him as a fill-in if Moreau's not ready to start the year, and then also once Moreau is healthy, have him mentor those 2 really young, talented tight ends.
Do you know what I just noticed? Are we done with that point? I'm sorry.
I was just going to move to the next, but you can make a point.
You know what I just noticed? The Raiders are stacked at wide receiver.
Now they are. Well, they just got a bunch of draft picks.
So they just drafted a first round pick, Ruggs, who is one of the. I'll admit I watch college football a little bit, just enough to see the main stories, just to see who's killing it, what teams in first place, what teams in. You know what I mean? I just know the basics.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest college football fan.
I'm a big college guy because I love watching them coming to the NFL.
I remember watching Ruggs. That's a name I did not forget from last year.
Yeah.
So that's a good. He's gonna be good.
That's what I was gonna move to next with wide receiver. So they drafted Ruggs. He was the first wide receiver off the board in the draft. They took him over CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy. It was a big those were the big 3.
He was
depending
phenomenal.
on the team, they had him in different orders. The Raiders loved Ruggs because he ran a 4.27 40 in the combine, and he was upset about it. He said, I got a slow start. I run faster. I know I do. I've been timed better. He's one of the fastest players in the league already. Yeah. But not only that, he has the best hands out of any receiver in the draft, better than Jeudy, better than Lamb. His drop rate is incredibly low, which is amazing.
Right.
But he's also one of these guys, when he doesn't have the ball, he is one of the best run blockers. A lot of wide receivers, they want to be the guy, and when they're not getting the ball, they kind of just, don't really try too hard. He's one of those guys where he's hungry and he's humble, and no matter whether he's getting the ball or not, he's giving it his all. Whether it's run blocking, he can do sweeps, he can be a gadget player. Then they also got...
Oh, so that's what I'm going to say. Let me say that. So behind him, Tyrell Williams on the right side, in the slot, Hunter Renfrow. And then that's right there. That's a good three set right there. But behind that, former first-round pick for the Philadelphia Eagles, Nelson Aguilar, second-round pick Zay Jones, and Byron Edwards, third-round pick from this year.
So Brian,
they got 5 really decent receivers.
Let me tell you something. Brian Edwards, because of the weirdness with he didn't have pro days because of COVID, he got injured. Before the combine and before pro days and all that. And he is the greatest receiver in South Carolina history, the Gamecocks. Yeah. And there are some really good receivers that came out of that college.
It's the SEC school.
He's an SEC school. He is, if he was healthy and there was a normal combine, normal pro day, he would have been a first-round pick. He is incredible. I was so happy. When we got him in the third round, I was like, I cannot believe this. He should have been a first or second round pick. We got lucky that there was no pro day.
That's 6. I just named you 6 wide receivers. That's on top of Darren Waller and Jason Witten. So then you got Josh Jacobs. And you got Lynn Bowden.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs, dude, is incredible.
They got a stacked offense.
Week 7 last year.
I was wrong about the Raiders.
Week 7 last year, he broke his shoulder, finished the game, and played all the way till week 13 with a broken shoulder. Put up 1,150 yards, 7 touchdowns, and he missed 3 games. If he would have finished the whole season, he would have easily went over 1,300 yards, probably 10 touchdowns. And because he was hurt from week 7 to 13, they actually limited his touches in the passing game. Now he's healthy. So you're going to see him healthy. You're going to see him way more involved in the passing game. Yeah. And last year, now their receivers look really good, the Raiders. But last year, they were banking on Antonio Brown. And right before week 1, they lost him. Yeah. So that changed their whole offense. Everything was built around Brown. Then Tyrell Williams had to move up to wide receiver 1. Then he got hurt. So they were really, they were hurting at wide receiver because they were just decimated by injuries. They lost Antonio Brown right before the year unexpectedly. Yeah. So now they filled that out. Derek Carr is going to have his best season ever.
I'm going to put this on camera. Greg Olsen is their offensive coordinator. He's a big tight ends guy. Yep. So they got Waller and Witten.
And Foster Moreau.
They got all those 6 different wide receivers that do different things to play around with.
Yeah.
But John Gruden's going to be super exciting this year because he's got Carr, who's a great quarterback, but he's also got Marcus Mariota right behind him who wants to earn his job back.
Yeah, Carr.
That's going to make Carr better.
Carr is super underrated, and half of Raider Nation hates him. And so I don't know why. He gets a ton of hate.
He's a good player.
He's a good player. You got to understand. There was really no talent around him when he first came to the Raiders. No defense on the other side of the ball. No weapons on offense. Half the time they had a patchwork offensive line. He finally has great offensive line, great play caller in John Gruden, and he finally has the weapons to succeed. Exactly. Greg Olsen's offensive coordinator, but Gruden calls the plays. So you're going to see Carr this year. Last year, Carr, with no wide receiver 1, with a patchwork wide receivers because Tyrell Williams got hurt, Hunter Renfrow missed multiple games. He put up over 4,000 yards, only 8 interceptions, and he completed over 70% of his passes. He was number 2 in completion percentage behind Drew Brees, and that was with no receivers at all. Josh Jacobs banged up from week 7, so he finally has all the pieces in place, and the defense should be really improved.
Healthy. Yeah, they only have a couple injuries.
Last year they were decimated, but now they've had the whole offseason and the end of last year, the end of the season, to get healthy.
Max Crosby has COVID-19.
Yeah, he'll be off the COVID list soon. Actually, he is off the COVID list. Yeah, he started practicing at the end of this past week. So now I want to move to the defense.
Yeah, okay. So let me say something real quick about the defense. First of all, that offense was better than I thought it would be. So on the starting front for the Raiders defense, you're looking at 1, 2, 3 first-round picks, right? Clelin
Ferrell was 4th overall pick last year.
Jonathan
Abrams was a first-round pick. He got hurt. Yeah. Abram got hurt in the first half of week 1 and missed the whole season. So that's like having another first-round pick.
And then
this year.
Damon Arnett right now is listed as the nickel back. He might be a nickel back. It's his rookie year. But no matter what happens, if he's nickel or not, they're going to rotate him in. And because this is pretty LaMarcus Joyner and Trayvon Mullen, and now you got Arnett from the first-round pick, and then also the 4th-round pick over here is Robertson. That's a really good secondary.
Yeah. So I want to talk about real quick. let's go to the defense. Let's start at the defensive
Okay.
line. I always start in the trenches.
Yeah,
Start on the
Farrell.
offensive line. Start on the defensive line.
Farrell.
You got Clellan Farrell, fourth overall pick last year as a rookie. He got sick before the London game. He lost 20 pounds. The rest of the year, he was fighting to try and put that weight back on. So that really hurt him. This year, he came in. He gained so much weight, muscle mass. He looks like a completely different player. He's going to show out this year. He's one of those guys who's a hard worker. He might never be a 20-sack guy, but he's going to be a 10 to 12-sack guy, and he's great against the run. He's an all-around good player, and that's why they took him there. Some people thought it was a reach. I think it was a great pick. It was a safe pick. They needed an all-around end. They didn't want a guy who would only rush the passer, wasn't good against the run.
They also got big Malik Collins in the middle from Dallas.
That's what I was going to say. That is the key. Free agent Malik Collins, he is super underrated. He is a top 5 defensive tackle in the league, and he's going to prove it this year, and I'm hoping the Raiders pay him to a big contract to keep him. So you have Farrell, then at defensive tackle, you got Malik Collins, like we just said, and you have Maurice Hurst. Now, if you guys remember a couple of years ago, Maurice Hurst was a projected first-round pick. At the Combine, he had a heart issue, and a lot of teams took him off the board.
Moved to the 5th round.
The Raiders stole him in the 5th round, and he's proven to people he's going to show out and be like, you know what, I was a first-round pick, and all you teams that passed on me because of a heart condition I didn't even know about, you're gonna be sorry. And then you have on the other end, defensive end, Max Crosby. 4th-round pick last year.
COVID-19, but he's coming off of it now.
He's already off. He's already practicing. But Max Crosby broke his hand in preseason, played with a cast on, was a part-time player early in the year. He didn't actually start in the starting lineup till mid-season. He had 10 sacks as a 4th-round rookie who only started half the season. He is an absolute monster. And so I'm excited about the defensive line. And then they also have some depth behind him. And at defensive end, they signed Carl Nassib, who's been averaging about 6.5, 7 sacks a year. Arden Key, they have Jonathan Hankins, big defensive tackle, great against the run, good veteran guy.
Now, I want to, since I was already talking about this secondary, I'm going to hold off on the middle, on the linebacker for a second. Okay, we already mentioned the corners. They have 3 really good corners, arguably a 4th if he pans out. But the safeties, man. First of all, Prince Amukamara, he's kind of old now, but now that you got a first-round pick corner with him there, that's only can help their secondary out. You know what I'm saying?
So it's gonna.
I think they're going to rotate the corners, but the safeties, though, Jonathan Abram and Demarius Randall, that's a solid duo.
Demarius Randall, if you remember, former first-round pick for the Green Bay Green Bay Packers. I'm sorry. So the secondary, Trayvon Mullen out of Clemson, he was an early second-round pick. Yeah. He's a baller. He's going to be their cornerback 1. This year, in the 1st round, they took Damon Arnett out of Ohio State. He is he's one of the better corners coming out of college, and he's already been showing out in practice.
Yeah,
he's a good corner.
I think he'll replace Amukamara.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If he's not ready to start the year, Amukamara will start at that other
Trayvon
corner.
Mullen's a solid number 2.
No, Mullen's a number 1. Yeah, absolutely. So Amukamara.
Well, I'm saying if Arnett comes in and replaces Amukamara, he'll be the number 1. And then you'll have
I think you're going to have Mullen at 1. Number 2 is going to be Amukamara.
Remember, you are a Raiders fan. You know that.
I am, but I know a lot about them. So
no, I know.
Mullen was an early second-round pick.
He's not the greatest.
But he's a number 1 corner, absolutely, and he started showing it last year.
He had a good year.
Half of the season.
He's a great
second-round pick. So if
Amukamara
he might start the year if Arnett's not ready because there's no preseason. But Arnett eventually will take that. Yeah. And then you have a great 3rd corner in Amukamara when Arnett overtakes him. And then you have in the slot, you're going to either have LaMarcus Joyner or rookie Amik Robertson.
LaMarcus Joyner is that nickel, though. That's what he does.
Amik Robertson, if he was 2 inches taller, he would have been a first-round pick. He's one of those guys where when you're watching him, he doesn't play small. He plays big, but when you actually measure him in, he's only like 5'8", 5'9".
He still has to prove himself.
So it knocked him. No, but in the 4th round,
that's a good pick.
I couldn't believe he was
still there.
So
they have 4 good corners.
Yep.
And they have 2 good safety duo. Yeah. Their weak spot is for sure linebacker.
Not really, not anymore though. Now let's talk about this. Okay. They signed Corey Littleton.
Okay.
He's one of the best linebackers in the league.
Come on, best linebackers in the league? No.
He's the best pass coverage linebacker in the league and one of the best.
He's a secondary. He's a second echelon linebacker.
No, he's not,
yes,
dude.
He is. He can cover.
Oh yeah, he can.
He's got
he's
speed.
a great. He's
tall too. He's 6'2".
For years, the Raiders struggled badly covering linebackers and tight end or running backs and tight ends. Their linebackers were awful. They struggled covering the running backs and tight ends out of the backfield. That was their huge weakness for years. Now they signed 2 guys that are great in coverage. Good all-around linebackers. That third linebacker spot is their weakness. It's going to either be third-round pick Tanner Muse out of Clemson, or it might be Nicholas Morrow. That's going to be a battle. It's going to have to happen in camp. But though their linebackers have been upgraded, big. That was their big weak spot. They never wanted to spend money. They never wanted to, draft high picks as a linebacker, and that always hurt them. So they finally, spent money and signed, 2 guys to finally plug that hole.
Yeah,
but they're going to be better.
Okay, the thing about the NFL though, if you look at every single team, all 32 teams, you look at their roster. Every starting position is somebody of importance. It's somebody with promise. Somebody is he just had that one bad year. He made the Pro Bowl in 2018.
Yeah.
So you can. I'm not going to disagree with you about the linebackers compared to the rest of their team. Though I think that's their weak spot. But they do.
Well, they have to prove it. They're new.
That's what I was going to say.
There's 2 guys.
They have to prove it before I say yes.
You got 2 good linebackers came from other teams. They got to prove that they can do it once again in a new team.
But
I agree.
But you got to admit. It would be nice to throw in like a Luke Kuechly in that mix. Like, come on.
Luke Kuechly's retired, but yeah.
I'm saying. I'm not talking about I'm talking in general, like a solid, for sure who he is.
Well, Littleton is like that guy. I mean, he's right there. I mean, he's up there with the best of the linebackers.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
Dude,
we'll see what he does. We'll see what he does.
He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that gets blitzes and gets sacks, gets interceptions and coverage, passes defense.
No, he's good.
He's all around sideline to sideline linebacker.
He had a good. He's been
baller.
good in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got to understand the first 2 years he came up out of nothing as an undrafted free agent.
Right.
So once he, was able to make his name known and steal that starting job, he's been good ever since.
Yeah.
But he's coming to a new team, so he's got to prove it again.
If he can,
Kwiatkowski's got to prove it again.
Maybe he can become the Luke Kuechly of the defense. Like maybe he can't. I just want to say
he was that for the Rams, but he's just got to prove it again with the Raiders. So yeah, that's like that one spot where it's like, okay, they upgraded huge, but it needs to be proven now on a new team.
Yeah.
So I agree, but the defense is going to definitely be way better. That was their weak spot the last couple of years. Carr couldn't do it all on its own. He would have to outscore every single team. Every single year, they're like 27th to 32nd in defense. One of the worst defenses in the league every year.
You know what I want to do, since we did the same thing with the Bills last week, and now we did the Raiders this week, I want to maybe touch on a new team, an interesting team every week, run down the roster. We'll do that weekly, and then we'll do fantasy every week too.
Yeah. I'm down. Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So we'll get more in depth. We started with the Bills because...
Who do you want to talk about next week in depth like we just did now?
Let's...
I was thinking either the Patriots or the Buccaneers, since we already talk about them a lot.
Those
are the 2 newest...
Let's do the Bucs.
Okay, so next week we'll do a rundown on the entire depth chart of the Bucs.
Yeah,
and talk about that.
We'll talk in depth. So we started with the Bills because we're in Buffalo. Neal's a Bill fan. I like the Bills also. And this week we did the Raiders because that's my team.
I'll admit that presentation right there we just did, most of you. I'm impressed. I did not think the Raiders were that stacked. I just wasn't really paying attention.
Yeah, well, a lot of teams, because they've been rebuilding, so a lot of teams didn't realize how well
that receiving core is ridiculous.
Mike Mayock was the biggest acquisition.
Yeah,
I mean, he is so good at scouting and drafting. I mean, that's what he did for NFL Network for years, and they didn't want to lose him. And yeah, he had never been a GM before, but he knows how to scout. He knows how to draft.
Yeah,
and then Gruden as well. But Mayock really has came in and rebuilt this team pretty quickly.
Mayock down to Olsen, and then
the whole staff.
Yeah, that's a good
really
staff.
good staff. So and then Mayock finally restocked the talent.
They're going to be a team to play with.
Last year I thought they were going to be a rebuilding year, but then they overexceeded and they were 6-4. But then the injuries decimated them. But I didn't plan on them making the playoffs last year, anyways. So they actually kind of like. Their timeline for rebuilding actually was, quickened though last year. They really, really did it quickly. Now this year, even more talent coming in from free agency in the draft. So I'm really excited about that. So yeah, next week we'll talk about the Bucs. And so I want to thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and thanks for watching All Things Sports. God bless you, and God bless America.